Hello guys, I'm Ivailo, and I'm the main lecturer and face of Drupal Academy. I'm bringing 8 years of hands-on development experience to the table, as well as a lot of very high technical challenges through my career. And at the end, I have a passion for educating young talent and bringing that to our community and our profession. So we set out to create that academy, and I was leading that one, and we managed to educate more than 400 people at the end.
Thank you, Ivailo. I'm Lyubomir Filipov, and I'm a group architect of our program and manager of more than 50 people. I bring expertise as a university tutor to the academy and also more than 15 years in the industry. The main things that I was assigned to help in the academy was to actually record videos for the exercises and also related to some decisions when it comes to what we should include in the academy and how we should approach it.
Yes. We decided to start our academy by building the base from ground up. So all the knowledge was inclusive enough so even people without technical background can join our academy. What we did was we got a lot of students and we started teaching them from the very basics, like what's the browser, and at the end they felt comfortable with technologies like Drupal, module building, like development, site building, PHP, Symfony framework, as well as CLI usage and HTML, CSS.
And that's a fun fact, by the way. If you check our LinkedIn profiles, you could see that today it marks exactly 2 years since we started this journey. And for 2 years, we managed to create a platform, prepare the educational plan, then record all the videos, record all the exercises, educate more than 400 people, and actually develop a system that allows automated tests to be run and exercises.
We're proud of what we have achieved, and it's been just 2 years, as Lyubo said. Those were 400 people, but we aim and plan that there will be a lot more in the future to come.
And the main thing that we should mention is all of this was for free, so let's dive into our adventure.
Yeah. So as you can see, there are some outlines here on the slide. We've built a lot in those 2 years. We started by breaking everything down because our goal, or actually our main goal, was to create a sophisticated and a streamlined platform for young talents to get educated. And the main goal was to get back to that community where we all came from in the beginning, where we all taught from, and give something back. So in the beginning, we started by planning all of that with a lot of meticulous planning and expanding that beyond what we thought in the beginning we needed to teach them. The hardest part was breaking all the scope down to small segments so we can teach our students. So as you can see, some outlines, we spent more than 200 hours in editing videos. We have 30 hours at the end in lectures, and that resulted in close to 600 quiz questions that were part of the exercises. And we also had around 66 hours of practice exercises and 30 hours of lectures. Not sure if I said that, but yeah, homework tasks, that's what I forgot. 100, close to 100. They might not seem that much, but actually it took us 2 years to build that, and it's not something very small when you're trying to do your best and polish every step of the way. So what we achieved was actually more than what we planned for. In the beginning, we started with just a simple idea to create that platform and educate young talents for free. We had to not only plan our educational plans and structure the lectures, the scripts, and everything else, but we also had to accommodate for the different technologies that we have to use. So in our plans, we included some plans for the future, not just for the education of the upcoming students. We started by wanting that it should be future-proof, and it should also be Drupal-driven in the beginning, because we came from a Drupal agency, but we stayed in the academy exactly because of what we want to bring on the table for our students. So we decided to use as much AI as possible so we can not only streamline our processes in the academy flow, but also give a personalized experience to our students and make sure that they'll get an instant responses and thus improve their flow and their experience. Here on the slide, you can see that's what our students were doing after each and every lecture. They're coming, they're getting some new tasks. This one is a coding example, but on the left, he's writing a code, and then based on what he's doing, he's then submitting and getting some response in the form of check marks. That's how they know how much they progress and how close they are to the correct answer. So that not only streamlined and customized the progress of each user, they didn't have to come to us to ask for questions, but we didn't give them too much here as a guidance, because that would be like a cheating. So at the end, using AI not only helped us to manage more than 400 students with just 6 people team, like a core team, but it proved really useful because the turnaround rate for our students from the moment when we released a new lecture to the moment when they started asking questions not only was reduced, but actually the questions were more of a better quality. So the questions were not very simple, always meaningful questions, and most of the time things that were actually challenging and not something that you're just wondering or you didn't listen about. So AI proved to be really useful. We used it also for the automation of our open question reviews. We also had those where you had to give your opinion and your way of understanding the things. So that really helped us in evaluating those and making sure that our students are progressing with the proper pace. We chose Drupal, just a second, yeah, last one, excuse me. We chose Drupal as the first track, and that's something that that we gave a lot of thought on, and we chose it because it's been a lot of years on the market. It's proven itself, it's versatile, and it's something where you can go and actually touch base on many different places. So you can see site building, you can do a code development, you can do teaming, and you can do a lot of things. So by using Drupal, we had a platform where we can teach students many different skills in the same place. And Drupal was that platform for us.
Thank you, Ivailo. Now you have a little bit more information what we did. And now we're starting with the feedback and what we learned. One of the most important things that you should know when you're creating such academy is that you need to have a key person who is like the face of your academy, and that key person should be presented everywhere. Let's imagine, or if I ask you, do you remember any teacher from your high school or from university? I'm sure you do. And those people were not just experts in the subjects that they teach you. Those people had their own unique way to present the information. That's why they probably left a lifetime impression on yourself and change you. So if you are going to choose a key person, that key person should do the same. In our case, the key person is Ivailo, because Ivailo has a lot of experience in the industry. He also has experience of teaching young colleagues from junior now to senior developers. And he has been giving lectures at Softuni. He also was part of all the Jakalas initiatives over the years where we were teaching students. And last but not least, he has his own way to present the data. And if you have to sum it, for example, we are organizing a conference every year in Gabrovo. And every year, people are coming to the conference. And when you ask them, why did you come to the conference? They were saying, we are part of the academy and we wanted to meet Ivailo in person. So out of this, you already know which are the key important points. You could see Ivailo here, part of the recording. First one is this person should have a charisma. So this person should be likable. Not only look good, but people should understand that what he is saying and remember what he is saying. The second thing is that this person should be an expert in the subject. You could not just get a person who talks good and give him a subject and expect that people will like him. We are adding more on the table because he is an expert, and as an expert, he is sharing stuff that you could not read by yourself in the documentation. He is sharing stuff that came from the years of experience, and this is important if you want to have such key person in your academy. The third important thing is that this person should have teaching skills. This person shouldn't be the type of guy who is in front of a hall and stands like this, and then that doesn't talk. So it should be a person that could connect with a certain ones, and then to the other, and then to the third one, change the way how he communicates his data. And this means that if I ask Ivailo to give the same presentation to a different audience, I'm sure that it will be the same message, but presented in a different way. And the fourth important skill, this is to be approachable. Because if you are a teacher, you should be approachable. You should always be there for your students, and they should know that if they have an issue or a problem, they could contact you, and you will answer them. And last but not least, we are going to look at the Academy as a product, because at the end of the day, this is a product. You're creating something, and if people are not using it, it doesn't have any value. So as a product, you should have the key person as a marketing topic. So the key person should be part of all your marketing activities.
Thank you, Lyubo. Quite an advertisement that was. Okay, so let's talk about the AI and how it streamlined our processes and what did we actually do with it, how it helped us go forward. Most of the things we used AI for were actually inside the coding stuff and the automated evaluation of our students. As I already mentioned, we've automated those in a way that every particular student has their own different pace. So by not giving them the pace ourselves, they decide how fast or how slow they want to progress. But we also got some limitations there, right? We have some rules. You cannot extend too much, but you have to get inside some boundaries, like 3 weeks. At the end, AI helped us to achieve that as well, because we not only used it for analyzing the data that's coming back from the students, as well as from other tools that we'll talk about later, but we used it for the different tools and processes for the generation of the content. So, for example, when we were doing quiz questions, we wanted to always be sure that what we've written was actually true. So even though we're professionals, we're not libraries. So whenever I have to write 20 to 30 questions for quizzes for each and every lecture, I had to find a way to really fast analyze all of those and be sure that they are the correct information, and actually I don't have any mistakes, because we don't want to embarrass ourselves. So what we did was we also used AI there. That helped us in the process, so it speeded up the creation of the content, as well as in the process of creation of scripts. Each lecture, like from the previous slide, what you saw there was the process of me recording the lectures, and that's where I spent, like, I don't know, maybe 200 hours in total for just 30 hours of end content. And all of the scripts were written down by me, and then later checked by AI, just to be sure that I didn't make some big mess or a mistake. Because you can, of course, always ask it if I made a mistake, or is there something wrong, or something not accurate enough for the context of that lecture. It helped us scale our operations in a way that we didn't actually expect. Because in the beginning, one of our fears was that we might attract too many people, or actually more than we can handle. Well, it happened from the very beginning. 400 people came, and I think for just the first 1 or 2 months, we already had 300. So that was pretty fast, and we expected to have some troubles there, because you have to somehow communicate and manage those people, give them feedback, and help them with problems. Well, having the AI on our side, that solved a lot of issues, because we started using it even in the open questions, where users had to input random thoughts from their heads, right, and answer a question like, how do you see that problem, or explain this, and explain it with your own words. So it's not a checkbox which we can check with a Boolean in the backend. It's a free text editor. How are you supposed to go and check 400 people's responses in hundreds of different open questions? Well, the answer was simple. We used AI as well to summarize the data that the user has provided, so we can briefly go through it, and then in a matter of seconds actually decide whether that's worth the points or not. So in the end, it's always us who decided how much points you get on the open questions, because, of course, AI is not perfect, and we want our 5 cents to be taken into consideration. But still, it speeded up the process in a way that we did not expect. And for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, we were able to check more than 100 or 200 open questions, which wouldn't be possible without AI. I would not even be able to read them for 30 minutes otherwise. And the last one is the case studies. So the case studies, we have a lot of successful of those in our academy. For those 2 years, we saw many places that were begging for improvement, and we constantly used AI there. We continue to do so, and we're continually adding more functionalities that are AI related. Just recently, we started adding it even to the code questions, because before that, we were using an online tool for evaluation of the code that users are writing. But then again, you cannot check there the syntax. You cannot check whether all of the functionalities are actually as per our lectures and the way we teach them. We need not only a judge platform where it had to be evaluated so we know the result, but in the same time, we needed a subjective thinking there in the process. So when you click the button below, it actually tells you that you're keeping the correct formatting, you're actually implementing the proper methods or classes or whatever was described in the task, which was not possible beforehand, and it actually increased the quality way more than it was before.
Thank you, Ivailo. And now let's focus on something else. You see that we look at the Academy as a product, and if you have a product, you should always get feedback. You should not have a product that looks good only for you, or you're the only ones that could use it. So we had to decide on a different communication channels, and the first channel that we choose was to have feedback forms. This is something that I'm sure you as a professionals are used to, but keep in mind that most of the people that were part of the Academy just started their career in IT. So the feedback forms, we were using Google Forms for those. Sorry, it's in Bulgarian because the Academy is now in translation, but you could see that the form is really short. You could populate it as an anonymous person, which is important for the people, and you could always have an open answer. The open answer, you could give us feedback like, please fix this, or update that, or adjust that lecture, or add more exercises. Please change the way you are explaining stuff. So all of these gave us really valuable insights, and the other important thing was that people were active in this one. When they were active and adding answers, and when they see any reaction based on their feedback, they were then more involved in the whole process. So all the students actually helped us to improve the platform. The second thing that we had to do was choose a communication channel different than the forms. Most of the students were in younger age, and they had access to Discord. They were used to using Discord. That's why we decided to use Discord. In here, we had a huge fight in the team, what to choose, why not to choose it, etc. At the end of the day, it was Discord, because when they have a common forum, when they express their opinion, they feel as a community, and you could start seeing people helping each other. You could start people being more active than the others. You could start people asking more questions than the others, which means for you, as an owner of the product, that you should have an assigned person to look after all the communication in there. And an example of part of the communication, this is 1 year old. It's for deleted users, so I could show it to you. Sorry, it's again in Bulgarian, but I'll quickly translate it for you. The first thing shows that this person is trying to solve an issue at midnight. He's getting 3 out of 6 ticks, and he's not happy. He's asking in the general chat for support. So is there someone else at midnight that is going to help me? Then around 8 hours later, he gets 4 out of 6. Then he starts, please guys, help me. 1 hour later, 5 out of 6. And then, oh my God, I managed to get all of them. Why I'm giving you this example? It's on purpose. I'm sure that many people of you are teaching others, and it's really important when you are teaching others not to give them everything ready. You need to teach them how they could go through that path. You need to teach them that they need first to rely on themselves, and then once they reach a point where they could not move further, to ask. As a person who has been a team leader and a manager, I could say that this is one of the biggest mistakes of people who are teaching others. You constantly give them everything that they need. That's why we decided to be part of this presentation, so we should point you to that direction. When we had our community, the next thing was they needed another steady channel to receive news. And that steady channel that we used was email communication. It's normal because in order for you to log into the academy, you should have an email. So you check your email. But it's not like sending spam. The email should be short. They should be containing the most important information. In this case, it says room 5 starts. This is the link to the lecture. If you want to give us feedback, please click here. If you want to ask us something on the contact form, click here. Click here. So the person has the most important information. New lecture, link to the video, and then how to give us feedback. And it's not only about sending emails, because if you're sending emails, you're not doing anything if you don't teach or get the information about those emails. We were using MailChimp, and we're still using MailChimp for this. So we were using the dashboards of MailChimp, and we were analyzing, okay, if we send the email at this hour, how many people are checking it? And based on the information that we received from MailChimp, we were adjusting our content. That's how we end up in a situation where the email should not be long, should be extremely straightforward, and when to send it based on the student group that you have. So it really depends what kind of students you're teaching, and based on that you see when they answer the emails and what they do. And last but not least, it's extremely important to make continuous updates based on the feedback. If you see that people are struggling, let's say in a certain homework task, we are going and updating and adding more information to that task. Because if you're teaching 100 people and only 98 of them fail 2 passes, you're the problem. It's not the people. So you should be open to do that, and you should be always dynamic and responsive on your teaching plan. So if you see that people struggle to get something, add an extra lecture in there, add extra exercise, make sure that they know what they're doing and continue after that. Otherwise, yes, there will always be like 20% people who are your top performers, but it's important to make sure that your whole group is moving forward. So once you set your communication channels, don't forget again to have a person assigned to watch the community and a person who is adjusting the email communication, and then making sure and pushing you to the right direction to actually update your content. Over to you, Ivailo.
Thank you, Lyubomir. So continuing with the structure of the academy, key thing here that needs to be mentioned is not only the idea in the beginning that we wanted that platform to be first reliable source of information and produce real quality people that actually know the stuff, not just getting certified with lowest amount of points to get to the end. That was not the case here. Actually, one of our rules was we won't have B, C, D grades, like the lowest grades were out of scope. You either pass or not, and you're either in the top 20% performers or you fail. That's it. So starting from the beginning, that was first main concept. We wanted to have integrity on the market. Even though we don't sell that as a service, and it's a free thing, we want to have that integrity. And what integrity will we have if people graduating the academy know nothing on the subjects, right? So you cannot get the PDF certificate here if you kind of know stuff, and if you went through Google, and if you went through GPT, for example. You can do that, and you can reach the end, but then we evaluate you based on absolutely everything we've taught you through those 6 months. So there's no free pass. And then the structure, as you can see in the middle, there is the track, and we decided to break the academy in a way that's a little bit out of the common practices, just so it's not the same everywhere, right? So our course is actually the track, and then that track, for example, the first course we made was Drupal oriented, and inside the track we have the rounds. So those rounds are named after big topics and big and important topics from that track, and then they encapsulate and group all of the content inside them. So then we have the rounds, and inside the rounds we have lectures. those lectures, of course, always related to the topic of the round. They all are following a flow and a pattern that actually gradually builds on top of the previous lectures, since the platform does not allow you to go to the next lecture until you finish the previous one. And the finish is after the lecture, you have your homework exercise tasks. We had different kind of those, and those were all nested inside the lectures, so you can get to them right after it. We had quiz questions, open questions, coding exercises, and those were pretty much enough. And we had a lot of those, like almost every lecture, some repeating from the previous lectures again. Since it's built...
Probably the cable.
Probably the cable?
Yes, that one, the HDMI one. HDMI one that goes to the...
This one?
Yes. Okay,
now it's better.
Yeah, absolutely. We are okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Good. Where was I? The exercises after the homework, they were a very important part of our academy. So they not only have the aim to consolidate your knowledge after you finished watching the lecture, but they have the aim to also push you in the proper direction to start learning by yourself, because that's what we are doing as developers every day. We get some tasks, kind of, some part of them we already know, but there is one big part sometimes that we don't know, and we don't just push it aside because we don't know it. We just start learning absolutely every day. That's what we do every day. So that's what we did in the academy. Whatever we taught our users or our students was actually just 70% of their homework. The last 30% were things that we have never taught them before, that they had to go and start researching and do their own research, teach them in their own time, and then come back to finish their homework. How we made sure that they really do that? Well, we had a rule for only 80%, so you cannot go below 80% in your homework. Otherwise, you cannot pass to the next lecture. So in order for you to be allowed to watch the next lecture, you had to have at least 80% success rate score in the previous lecture. Otherwise, you're not allowed. And if it's more than 3 weeks after you've watched your lecture, so that's the period of time we're giving you to complete that homework. And since we've already invested our time to do that for free for you, you should invest yours, and 3 weeks is what we told is absolutely enough for our students to accomplish their homework. And that's what they did. A lot of people actually proved that this theory and that practice was actually successful, because what happened is those who did not want to spend their time actually fell out from the very beginning. And the people that stayed, almost all of them went and passed through almost all of the academy. And it was a challenging one because, as I said, you start from what's a browser and you end up creating modules in Drupal. And whoever has created in that audience here modules in Drupal knows that it's not a thing for a very junior person who hasn't heard of code 6 months ago. So that proves that this one here works. The challenges we faced were first with timing. Timing was the key here because we had to start whenever our deadline was set. We set it ourselves. And then when we started, we had just 3 or 4 lectures created, so our students started progressing. But at the same time, we had to do some code updates, continue implementing new features in the platform, and at the same time, record scripts, or actually record lectures, do some videography, then at the end add exercises and do the actual content moderation and creation while they were already progressing. So we had to be in front of them so they don't catch us with their homeworks and lectures. And that's what we did. We were aiming to be really fast with that, but also provide them with a quality content. So fast and quality usually don't get together hand in hand, but in our case, we managed to do so with all the tools we used. Getting to the tools is our maybe one of the biggest trends that we have here. The tools that we chose to use were not tools that we are used to using, so not tools that we use in our regular job. We decided that by building the platform and making it free, we have to gain something, right? It can't be just for free. So we decided to use platform systems and technologies that we haven't used before, so we can learn alongside our students as well. So that's how we get something back, and it motivates us to do that. We chose only the tools that were meant for the task that we aim to solve. So only the perfect tool that's suitable for the things that we want to accomplish were used. In that case, you can see Sanity, Next.js, GitHub Codespaces, AWS, Vercel, and AI. That's everything we used, and all of them were chosen for specific purposes and specific tasks. That's why we didn't want it to use Drupal. We all know that it would have worked, right? But it's a monolith. We've worked with it for years, and it's not something we don't know. So the only thing we would have gotten out of that was just a nice experience of providing a feature and a product to the users. Instead, we got a lot more from that. We graduated ourselves. So at the end, that's a Sanity. So that's what Sanity gave us, a really intuitive, out-of-the-box, cloud-free AI, where you can, not AI, but UI, sorry, that you can use to build your content. You can nest it as much as you want, and you can change it, moderate it, have different instances. It's like the perfect sheet for creation of content and managing it there. And it was so easy to spin up a local instance that even our project manager had a terminal where she was spinning it and syncing databases with questions from development to production as she was checking them for mistakes. So that kind of proves the point. The next one was the Vercel and Next.js. Of course, we all have heard those. Probably even people not in IT have heard them as well. They're so amazing those days, right? So that's why we use them as well. It's modern technology. It's stuff that we all want to hear and learn about. Why not use it in a project? Next.js gave us the flexibility and durability of the modern frameworks in JavaScript, of course. And it taught us quite a lot. And Vercel gave us the transparency and easy use for us to manage our deployment and CI/CD procedures. It also gave us separate environments for each branch and each push. So that also helped us to do QA and even comment on each and every push we make. And that was all almost virtually for free. We didn't pay anything until we became a lot more people inside the project. And if I consider what we're paying now, a fee, I feel like it's free because it's almost nothing.
And you're not getting paid by Vercel.
And we're not, no. I mean what we pay for Vercel, yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one, Codespaces. GitHub Codespaces was something that we decided will fit our case because we wanted to give our students some place where they won't feel like us when we were juniors, because you've all been juniors, and I think some of you know what it is for a junior to set up Drupal. Lyubomir will talk about that one later, but as a closing remark on the technologies we used, I think it's important for every project to try to manipulate the technologies and actually use the proper technologies for the project instead of trying to tweak and manipulate the project to fit the technologies you want to use. So that's a key feature that we used in our academy, and we're proud of that.
Thank you, Ivailo. And coming back to GitHub Codespaces, I'm sure that all of you have heard this sentence: it works on my machine. And as a person who has almost 10 years experience as teaching students at university, this really bothers me, because this was probably 50% of my time was taken into fixing issues on someone's computer who is using cracked operating system with some strange configuration, etc., instead of us focusing on what we really need to work. And this is not only when you are teaching people, this is when you are working with people and they need to develop something. I'm sure that most of you already use some way of virtualization in order to avoid it. But imagine that a person who doesn't know what is browser, to teach him how to set up Docker instances by himself. So this was, let's say, a no-go for this period that we had. And at some point, some of our colleagues who were working that time in Bayer project we saw that they are using GitHub Codespaces, and Ivailo came and said, let's try and use this to run Drupal. And back then, this was in alpha version, and you were trying to run it in it, and it wasn't working correctly. But at some point, we managed and reached a state where you could see here on this GIF, you fork a repository, and then it spins up an environment for you. You run a script that you have in the README, and then in less than 3 minutes, you have fully working Drupal instance. And this is what we did with GitHub Codespaces, and this really saved us a lot of time because this was always available for you, so you could spin it up on your home machine, then continue working on your laptop, or if you are freak enough to use it on your mobile phone, up to you. I wouldn't recommend, but still. Also, by using this, we were removing the problem where people are saying it works on my computer, we don't have any versions mismatching, etc. Everyone were using the same environment. Then, by using the same environment, they could easily send to us a link, and we could see what they have done or support them, answer any questions that they might have. And for those of you who know what GitHub Codespaces is, might say, okay, but this is paid. Yes, but the free tier is enough for a person who is learning in an academy. We didn't have persons who were reaching that limit. And were there any drawbacks? I wouldn't say that those are drawbacks because for 2 years we had to update the repository 4 times. So 4 times update the repository that 400 people are using, and you don't have issues with the environments. I believe this was a really good trade-off. And the success was so big that at some point we started presenting this to other people. And in the local University of Veliko Trnovo, currently for teaching Drupal, PHP, and other stuff, they are using GitHub Codespaces. They are using the same approach. They really like the same approach, and now are going to organize an extra course for high school teachers who are going to use this to teach their students. So in short, this was probably one of the best ideas that we had because it saved us a lot of time, and it's proven to work. Over to you, Ivailo.
Now, let's focus on the actual MVPs of the Academy. It's not the plan, it's not the technologies, or the aim to improve the education of the people inside our industry. It's actually the team that helped us to achieve that goal and to have the success that we actually had. Starting with Božidar Bošnjakov, he's the manager of our program in our company. He constantly pushed us forward, saved resources for us, found gaps, slots, and time availabilities for us to use, and did his best to actually give us the resources and the needs. And everything we needed was actually provided. We didn't have the Hristo Garev. He is developer, and that's what he did. He's been developing like Hristo does for 2 years straight, doing new functionalities, code fixing, feature requests, and whatever else needed to be coded. He did it, and he was the main guy there. Then we have Spas, who's also a developer for 15 years. Well, he did not do any development here. What he did was 200 hours of video editing, even though he had no experience. Well, he just said, okay, let's do it. And that's what he did. So congratulations to those people, because without them, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and now let's continue. We have an ex-MMA fighter here who is Drupal 10 certified and who is going to be a speaker at DrupalCon Barcelona. So if you're there, you could hear him. Valentin, he is the person who recorded the Drupal track and the exercises. Next to him, we have Presi, our gatekeeper of whole the community, the project manager. She was making this happen. It was really hard to make sure that we match all the deadlines and everything is happening when it should be. And last but not least, Mario Volev, our QA, who was the person who was not letting us to have any bugs in production. And this is an official lie. If someone tells you that they don't have bugs in production, don't trust them. We do have bugs, but he was the person keeping us from having more serious bugs to production. And there are many more people, part of them in this hall, that were helping us throughout this journey. And we have to say that without your help, this was not going to be possible. We didn't have the chance to put you all in here, but we are thanking you for all the efforts that you put.
Commitment. Commitment was the thing that we wouldn't, because of the commitment we went to the end, and because of the commitment we started, but it's something that we had to go through many times and through many challenges. That commitment was mostly to the community. We've all started as juniors using the community. Drupal is mostly a community. It's not a product, it's not a service. It's, if a single company owned it, it would fail. It's about the community. So that's what we're for. We want a strong community, of strong people, and since we got our strength from that community and open source and all free resources that helped us to educate ourselves, that was our time to give back to that. The support of the new developers is something that's really important, and the old generation has to pass that to the new one. And if we don't do it, all materials will be advertised and everything will be money related. And we all know how that ends, right? So we've seen a lot of cases where a content that's not meant for teaching is presented as such in high prices with fake resources and fake courses to educate people and get their money. But that should not be the case, because what we have in the development community is something really nice and great, because I can say that probably for the past 10 years I've been working in that. In my career, I haven't paid almost any money for any courses, and everything I know it for free from the community. So if there are no more examples like this one, it would be a shame.
And this is what was driving us exactly, because free and accessible education. This was our purpose. The Academy is free, and it will always be free. It won't have a fee or something like that. We discussed really long discussions whether you should have a fee for the exam, etc. No, it will remain free. Currently, it's only in Bulgarian, because in Bulgarian there is no that much content that you could use for teaching Drupal. But we are now in a process of translating this into English, because we saw that it works. And also, we are going to have future expansions. So we are going to add other tracks, and also looking forward to have other people using the platform that we have just built.
Yes, and expansion of the platform, it can also be through a collaboration. It can also be to be used in other social or actually private or public institutions. It can be used for schools or private companies onboarding. We can even use it in our company as an onboarding mechanism in future. That's not something it cannot do, since it's very versatile, flexible, and it can adapt to all kinds of different scenarios. It can do whatever we want, and since it's just a tool, it's up to us what we use it for.
And we haven't given up, so it is continuously being improved. It's getting new updates, getting new UX, getting the feedback from the people and trying to put it back into the product, because we all know if you don't do that, your product will die. And actually, we have a really good example with Drupal being on the market for such a long time and being our tool of choice. And now we would like to thank you and just ask you for any questions, anything that you would like to ask us. Feel free about the Academy, about what we do, any issues that we faced, exactly anything. And for those of you who are shy, you could use this link and type the question.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. You said you're going to have further expansion, so are you currently working on the next track? Is it in progress or still not?
Okay, so next track. Next track is we have some plans for front-end track and QA track. We also have plans for some different, or ideas actually, for different tracks. The key here is that, as Lyubo said, we need planning and we need dedicated people to working on those. For now, what we have is just plans for those, but it's in progress. So I think the next two will probably be either front-end and QA. Not sure which one will be the first one, but for sure there will be more in future. What we're currently working on right now is translating all the lectures to English so we can widen the base for our students and we can actually attract more people from different countries and not limit it only to Bulgaria.
So what is the vision of the collaboration? How do you see the collaboration and how do you want it to be?
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. How we see a collaboration, there is no specific definition of collaboration in the meaning of what we're trying to say here. So the message is clear. A collaboration could be using that as a platform, and maybe it could be with companies or with new individuals who want to participate in that academy. So for example, if you're a person who wants to also join us as a team and help us in progressing here, help us develop that, that can be possible. Or some future endeavors that might include public schools. What we can do is provide free platform for educating public schools or give them pre-requirements for their further IT education. Or we can even do something for young talents. We can do something for kids and provide that for free. Since it's interactive, using AI, that's what they like. And it's instant feedback. That might give them the base for them to decide in future if they want to join our industry. It can also be facilitated like a collaboration between companies. For example, a company might need just something similar to as an onboarding mechanism. That's something that we are planning on doing as well, using such a tool for onboarding procedures and having it streamlined for all of our colleagues.
Yes. Come to you.
You had quite a tough approach on completion and making it a free product. Obviously, people should be motivated and committed to the product. Did you do any active tracking of user engagement to see when people weren't participating and to try and help them connect with the system? I saw you did your email tracking, and that was really good to see that you are seeing what works best and improving based on that. So did you basically monitor your students in any way, and what did you find particularly helpful about that? What was very effective? What worked well in that?
Yes, I will answer this one. Yes, we did. So actually the project manager was not only the gatekeeper of all the information, but she was making sure to answer all the questions that people might have, because we had a really tough one. For 3 weeks, you should have the answer and for everything. But in those 3 weeks, you might have some personal issues that are limiting you to complete that. So we had a way to communicate to all the students that if you have any issues, problems, or something else, please communicate this with us and let's find a solution together. And we were finding out that, let's say, a lot of people could not cope with a certain task. We were checking why this task is so hard and making sure that we have provided enough information. Like Ivailo said, with AI, you could see whether the requirements that you gave are okay. Also something that we didn't mention, but for each of the tasks that we had a couple of people who were solving them in advance before providing those tasks to the people. Although we had this, I won't lie, we had to readjust a lot of tasks during time. Did I manage to answer? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.